Greetings, fellow saints. I've been pondering and meditating recently on the Holy Spirit, on who he is and what is his work. It's a massive subject. Therefore, this will only be a very broad outline. And also, I apologize in advance. This is probably going to be slightly longer than our recommended devotionals. First, the Holy Spirit is God. He is the Holy Spirit of God. And at the request of Jesus, he is sent by the Father to indwell every believer at the very moment of being born again. We read that in Ephesians 1:13. In him, you also were sealed with a promised Holy Spirit when you heard the word of truth, the gospel of your salvation, and when you believed. This is further confirmed in Romans 8:11. And if the spirit of him who raised Jesus from the dead lives in you, then he who raised Christ from the dead will also bring your mortal bodies to life with his spirit who lives in you. The Holy Spirit brings with him all the power, life, holiness, and love of the Godhead. This is confirmed in 2 Timothy 1. For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but one of power, love, and sound judgment. John Gospel 3:34 tells us that he, the Father, gives the Spirit without measure. Every born-again believer has God's full Holy Spirit dwelling in with him. He doesn't give a part of the Holy Spirit. He gives the whole Holy Spirit to every believer. So what does the Holy Spirit do within us? Many Christians today, when you mention the work of the Holy Spirit, will immediately start talking about signs and wonders. But is that really the primary work of the Holy Spirit? Now, first, let me be clear that the Bible is very clear that signs and wonders are a gift of the Holy Spirit. And these are most certainly just as relevant today as they ever were. 1 Corinthians 12:7-11 tells us that a manifestation of the Spirit is given to each person for the common good. To one is given a message of wisdom through the Spirit, to another a message of knowledge by the same Spirit, to another faith by the same Spirit, to another gifts of healing by the Spirit, to another the performing of miracles, to another prophecy, to another distinguishing between spirits, to another different kinds of tongues, to another interpretation of tongues. One and the same Spirit is active in all of these, distributing to each person as he wills. Working of miracles is only one of the gifts of the Spirit, and it is given to specific believers at the sole discretion of the Holy Spirit as he wills. It's not something that can be learned or obtained by attending a school of supernatural signs and wonders. So if you're thinking about that, just save your money. He gives them out for free. Jesus, speaking in John's Gospel over several chapters, outlines the work of the Holy Spirit through the born-again believer. John 14, Jesus calls him the counselor, the advocate, or comforter, depending on your English translation. He names him as the Spirit of truth. Later in the same chapter, Jesus tells us the Holy Spirit will teach us all things, and he will remind us of everything he has told us. That's the things we read in his word, the Bible. He will bring this to remembrance for us. Chapter 15 tells us that the Holy Spirit testifies about Jesus. Everything we want to know about Jesus, the Holy Spirit will tell us. Chapter 16, Jesus tells us that the Holy Spirit convicts the world of sin, righteousness, and judgment. Jesus continues that the Spirit of truth will guide us into all truth. There's no limitations. And that he doesn't speak on his own account, but he speaks whatever he hears. He will tell us also about things to come. And he will glorify Jesus because he takes what is of Jesus and by extension the Father and declares it to us. I just wanted to encourage you today to take heart. If you've been born again, then you have this massive, powerful person, the Holy Spirit, living within you. In order to live by that Spirit and all his work, all we have to do is submit to him. We're awarded forgiveness and righteousness by surrendering to the Lordship of Jesus. Let's learn to live our lives completely surrendered and total submission to the Holy Spirit of God. Imagine that life. Romans 8:14 tells us, for all those led by the Spirit of God are sons of God. Submit to his leadership today. Thank you.